In this video, I will quickly talk about objects and its data, and also object properties and object data properties. So in object mode, you can see you can add a lot of objects. For example, you can add all of these things are called objects, and each of them have its own specific data. For example, meshes can have a lot of data. The first one, the first type of data we talk about is the mesh components, for example. This mesh object is just a container for data. So what is the data? So the object has X number of faces, X number of vertices, and they are connected in this particular way. And it has some materials on it, it has some creases on the edges, it has some modifiers on it. So all of this is data which is contained in this object called cube. This cube is a mesh object. The type of the object is mesh. So how do we look at the object properties? So object properties and object data properties are color coded in Blender. So the yellow square is object properties, and if you select any object, the properties of any object of these objects are very similar to each other. The object properties panel contain a lot of similar properties across all different types of objects. For example, let's bring in a, I don't know, maybe for example a speaker object. Let's bring in a, I don't know, maybe a curve object, yeah, or even a light object. So all of these are different types of object, mesh object, right? But when you look at the properties, they are quite similar. All of them have this relations, collections, and visibility, and other things like viewport display. And for example, these objects have almost the same set of object properties related to the container, right? For example, position, rotation, scale, and things like that. Some relations like which is its parent and the collections, in which collection they are located, and things like that. The visibility and how it is looking in viewport display and things like that, right? But if you look at this green, this is color coded as green. Green color is object data properties, not object properties. And you have everything different here. Look at this. Look at this. And this and this. So everything is specific to only that type of object. So yeah, we will quickly look at object properties in this video. Only object properties, some of the properties in the object properties panel, but in object data properties we are not going to look at it now because it is specific to only that object. For example, we will look at the light object data properties when we learn lights. We will look at curved object data properties when we talk about curves in edit mode modeling in edit mode section of this course. We will learn all the camera specific properties when we talk about cameras in lighting and rendering section of this course. And this light properties too, we will look at them in lighting and rendering section of the course. We will talk about all these mesh data properties when we learn how to model stuff, because it's specific to modeling, like vertex group, shape keys, UV maps, like remeshing, normals. We will look at almost all of them when we in this course, when we learn how to edit things, right? So now let's quickly talk about these object properties, not object data properties. As I said, we will look at them in their own specific videos. So let's look at this example, mesh object example, and the important things here are, I would like to talk about the viewport first and visibility. For example, you can turn off selectability here. You can do this from here too. And you can turn this off in viewports or renders, or use them as holdout objects. But most interesting one can be here, viewport display. You can change the color, but if you want to see this color, you need to come here and change this to object, and you can change the color from here too. And sometimes you want to show specific information about this object. For example, the name of the object. As you can see, it's cube. And often we just turn on the axis, as you see here. Now you can see the axis. Or we can just look at the wireframe of the object. Always, as you can see, we have wireframe turned on. Or sometimes we often put it in front of other objects. For example, if I bring in a new object, mesh object like cylinder, I put it, when I look at the object behind the cylinder, I can still see it, as you can see, like it is standing in front of the cylinder, but actually it's behind. Let's turn off in front, and now we cannot see it because it's behind. Sometimes it's really important. We will use that a lot in the course. And also we can display our object as, for example, wire, or we can display it as bounds. For example, bounds can be visible from here, yeah. Or we can display it as texture and things like that. So, or we can just display this like a normal thing, but we can turn on the bounds like so. Yeah, sphere or clone, cone, things like that. Yeah. In object properties, so everything else will be talked about throughout the course, and these things are available for other objects too. For example, the camera. Some of these are not available. For example, in viewport display, we don't have edge or wireframe because this is a camera object. It doesn't have any geometry, but we can turn on axis, in front, and things like that. So yeah, this is everything I wanted to show you in this video. Talk about, this is pretty advanced topics. Now at least you know that all objects share object properties, and they do not share object data properties because they are specific to that type of object. So yeah, this will be helpful. Now maybe you don't understand it, but throughout the course this concept is really helpful, I hope. So yeah, there you go.